The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients.
Day of November 2023. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Shows, the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House and Lindos. I'm Jamal Hartman. He's Roger Denbrook. And Maya Palacio will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in her news break brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Raj, how are you feeling today, good sir?
Ooh, I was cutting it close this morning.
Yeah. You know what? I saw me squirming around. I'm looking, I'm so irresponsible. I have so much going on here, wires and things, and you think you know where everything is until you need it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm glad nobody can see what's in front of me.
Yeah. The great thing, it's like, I remember watching the news, then being a part of it. All you see on TV is, the anchor reading something, but you don't really see everything in front of or around it. And when those things became reality, for me, I was like, man, we just never know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Audience, don't worry about us. It's nothing happening that you don't. Yeah, it's nothing happening.
Yeah, I know. Everything's fine. Everything's great.
Thing is wonderful. Suzanne Ingham says, awesome Wednesday, Premier
Hilarious.
Premier Raj, and
I know about that.
I'll be his bag handler. I'll be his what was Colonel Birch to Dame Jennifer Smith, man. She was Premier. He was like aide or something, or chief of staff, something like that.
I remember.
Yeah, something like that. All right, greetings everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today as we welcome Lisa Reed back, coming from the Human Rights Commission. It's Human Rights Day coming up. I know Roger's excited about a convo like this. This is your thing, bro. So I'm looking forward to the conversation. The daily play is music today. All I'm going to say, it's music today. All I'm going to say is, folks, I hope we have some Motown heads in the audience.
Oh, so I think so. I may get beat with this one. I may get beat. As embarrassing as that may be.
You know, Raj, Serafina was awesome, right? One of the best Broadway plays I saw when living in New York was Motown on Broadway, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, when someone was commenting yesterday or the day before, when we were talking about, certainly yesterday, about like the live like music and band part of Serafina, it immediately made me think of that Motown thing. But yeah, daily play music. Think Motown, folks. Think Motown. Please don't forget, if you haven't already, please fill out the Daily Hour survey, the annual survey. We will be giving away a grand prize in December for all of those who actually fill it out and include their email addresses. So you don't have to include your email. It is anonymous if you'd like. But if you include your email, you'll be eligible to win the grand prize in December. So again, fill it out, help us capture some data that can help us make decisions that are in the best interest of the show. While doing that, don't forget to subscribe on our website, follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on, help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Let's jump into today's discussion. All right, so Maya asked a question last week, Raj. She asked this question. And the question on the right on the Instagram, when you have concerns about anything happening in Bermuda, what do you do? right? Now, keep in mind, a lot of people who respond to my survey, we don't have scientific data, but many of them are much younger than the audience you'll likely see on this show or engage with on this show. So the responses that she received was post about it on social media. That's what most people do. 16%, said they do. 11% said contact your constituency MP. 18% said contact an organization that can assist. 55%, the majority, said nothing, move on. The question of the morning: when you have concerns about anything in Bermuda, audience, because we want to see if there's a difference in age. Now, the age of this show, not everyone, but the bulk of this show is between 35 and 44, with the extension 35 and 54. But what do you do when you have concerns about anything in Bermuda? Like, what do you do? What is the first thing if something is happening that's really concerning to you? What do you do? And I said last week when Maya shared this, Raj, is if a politician publicly states out loud, yeah, too shall pass. I mean, it's happened. They'll be like, oh, they'll be mad for a minute. They'll get over it. People will be up in arms, angry. But that's what happens. They know people forget. They know people have got more important things to do, which is why certain people govern in the way that they do. That's concerning. It should be concerning to everyone.
You know how they say actions speak louder than words, right?
Mhm.
You know, anybody paying any sort of attention over the last few years should see that that is the attitude of this government. And as a member of the electorate of this country who has been on the receiving end of this leadership for the last 7 years, I can say that confidently and very comfortably. The attitude is this too shall pass. We can do this. People will make noise for a second, but then we're just going to keep going. And I'm going to, again, speak to education reform because I can speak to that most reliably.
Mhm.
I have, and I've said this before, I have been making noise by myself, right? I'm not a part of that 50, and I'm going to talk to y'all 55% in a second who say you don't do nothing and you just let things happen, right? Speaking as somebody who does do something. Again, I'm not trying to toot my own horn. I'm just saying I have put my neck on the line many times. And I can say quite confidently that it has benefited the causes that I'm interested in. When you put the pressure on, they have no choice but to serve. When you put the pressure on in an evidence-based way, you are a member of the electorate, the dynamics will switch and it will become about service at that point. It's not easy to speak up in Bermuda. No, I take that back. It's very easy to speak up. And since we're here talking about human rights today, one of the rights that are very much enshrined in our Constitution is freedom of thought and freedom of thought and freedom of expression. Is your constitutionally protected right to say whatever the heck you want. The fact that we still live in a time where people are afraid to speak out, it baffles me, right? And all you are doing is playing into political cultures of they will make noise and then we can just get on with things. That's the attitude. And the fact that 55% of people just don't do anything, that right there is how we're going to crumble as a country. That we need to fix that as a people. And it's speaking as somebody who, and again, I'm not trying to talk down to anybody. I'm not trying to be, trying to put myself, I'm just saying I am one person who has put my neck on the line. If we had a country of people who did that, we'd have a revolution on our hands.
Raj, I think we can only really truly use our personal experiences at times. So it's not tooting your own horn. I can sit here and go on about conscription. A lot of people saw it as these guys just don't want to be disciplined or don't want to go to the regiment. Um, Interestingly enough, we have the Human Rights Commission on today, but conscription violated 10 human rights issues. 10, right? Um, and because of the thoughts that people have when it comes to black males, I mean, I had a cousin who literally blamed every black male for those black males who are not good fathers. Oh, well, no one complains when you're out there. Well, you do complain when men are out there not taking care of the children. But you think that conscription violating grown men's rights is, well, it's not violating the right. I said that's because it's enshrined in law. These men, unlike police, can't unionize and go ask for more pay. That right there should have set off alarm bells because they're conscripted. If we wouldn't conscript police officers, why would we conscript military people, right? I say that because people don't care enough if it doesn't impact them directly. And even sometimes when it does impact them directly, they're too afraid. You know, Raj, I said it the other on Twitter. Let me just go to Twitter real quickly because I think this sums up my thought on the black population in Bermuda right here. And it's unfortunate, but I tweeted on probably Monday. I said, most of us live lives where we accept our circumstances as is. We witness injustices regularly, but in the end, just don't think the risk is worth the potential reward. What? Wait for it. Especially if there's a mortgage and bills to be paid. A disappointing reality. That's the reality when it comes to black folks. And I don't want to come across like I'm picking on people in the IB sector. Props to them. But I think if we focus on them, are they really going to risk standing up when they're of that small percent that's probably doing well or better off than some of their counterparts? Likely not. It's disappointing, but I've adjusted my life a bit to not be as disappointed because I have these expectations, and it's a sad reality. But they're not going to speak up about the wrong if they don't feel it's directly impacting them, right? And even if it is directly impacting them, they feel like the lifestyle they live is enough to keep them away from the harm that whatever legislation or policy is doing to them. So then someone like yourself, who maybe isn't in that sector, or myself, we're going to still feel the brunt of it. Again, question of the morning, folks, is, Maya did a poll last week on Media Maya. And as we shared, 55% of people, when asked when they have concerns about anything happening in Bermuda, what do they do? 55% said nothing / move on. That's concerning. That's concerning. Let's go to the audience. Ebony Souza, when answering this question, she said, speak to friends / network to get more information. Then contact the relevant party. I've always ended up more frustrated and bewildered. Suzanne Ingham says she contacts her member of parliament in the area. So I have further questions. You contact your MP, and then what happens?
And that's a fair question. I think contacting your MP means at least there's a record of your discontent. And I actually shared something on Twitter the other day as well. If you go into parliament.pm, you can get the email addresses of all the MPs, right? So they're very much accessible and very much reachable. But then the question does become, okay, what after that? But they do need to have a record of your discontent. If there is no record, I've seen it happen so many times. They will turn around and they will say, well, no one said anything to me, so everything must be fine. Even if the world is burning around them, they will say, oh, everything's fine. No one said anything to me, because that's politics. The unsurprising thing about those poll results is the fact that people are obviously, and young people in particular, I can't even say it's young people, it's everybody, I would say, it's cross demographic. They're completely discontented with and disillusioned by our political structures right now. Nobody, I think, really has faith in our political institutions anymore. These are people who are just serving a systemic function. They're not doing it to serve people. They're doing it to serve themselves. That is obvious. This is self-preservation at this point. I don't think that's an unfair thing to say. And it's not surprising that people would say, you know what, to bring some compassion and some perspective to it, you know what, I'm not going to do anything because what I do is not going to make a difference, right? People are disconnected from their power. They're disconnected from their agency. And that is by design, right? We have had a school. When, Jamel, when you were in school, did you have any real lessons about our political process, the Senate, the legislature, how you can get involved, how you can get your voice heard?
Raj, I'm the wrong person to ask because I didn't pay attention in school.
But you would have paid attention to that.
Civics, I think Mr. Williams was my civics teacher. I think he did a decent job of trying to educate us on that. And
Yeah.
but that's Cedar Bridge in my last year of high school. But no other level did I learn any of that.
And this is the thing. So I very much believe that's by design. We do not teach Bermuda history. I think that's very much a vestige of segregated schooling in Bermuda that we haven't figured out. We approach schooling in a way where it's not to empower, it's to, how can I say, condition into compliance,
Mhm.
right? It's not about creating critically aware, civically involved citizens. It's not. It's about creating passive participants in a capitalistic economy, right? Because the amount of times I've been in a classroom and I start to engage my students with some critical thought around what we're doing, the response 95% of the time is, why don't we do more of this? Why don't we think more of things like about that? Why don't we think about things like this more often, right?
Well, Raj, that to me has been one of my long-standing issues with education is we're not educating children, we're training them. We're training them to exist in the world as it does today. We're not, we again speak about alternative education all the time. You've got the Minister of Education who's pissed people off yet again this week. I don't. He never really angered me like he did most people. But anyway, that's not about me. But he basically said that the signature schools delivering results or something like that, or they're working or something. And people were asking for like data, like how do you know this already? And I use that as an example. Is let's say that's a concern to you, audience. Are you just going to respond to him on Twitter, or are you going to note this, write him an email, and make him provide with you data? I can tell you why he did that. The reason they do stuff like that is because they know there's a certain group out there that are going to push their narrative for them. And while you all may respond quickly on whatever social media platform you want, that's still going to be the message out there. This is all about messaging. It's not about results.
Mm-hmm.
Keep in mind, it's all about messaging. It's not about results. Because no, and I don't want to demean the minister, but no honest person with integrity is going to share a statement without the necessary data. I mean, why not just wait until there's a real measurement in place, right? But hey, who am I? Folks, again, the question of the morning. Please, if you, we want to hear from you because those results from Maya were pretty sad. When you have concerns about anything happening in Bermuda, what do you do? What do you do? What? I mean, all of you tuning in right now, like, what do you do? What is it? I mean, do you not want to give away your secrets? What do you do?
Let me, since we segued into education, I wanted to talk about it this morning, about that press conference and those results. Jamel, let Rajay.
Can we do it tomorrow?
Dang, look, give me just 30, give me 45 seconds, just real quick, and then we can talk about it properly tomorrow.
Okay.
Right now, listen, education reform is a hot mess, right? It is a hot mess. If people really knew, listen, it's a hot mess. So the minister and his team are going to do everything in their power to take every single opportunity to try and frame it as a positive, even if it's grasping at straws, which is what those results were. The signature programming, right? It represents, I think, not even about 10% of their curricular experience, of their timetable, I believe. I was very excited about signature schools because I'm like, okay, so teaching and learning is going to be revolutionized or updated across the board. No, it's just that tiny little part. And we don't even know how they're learning, right? These young people are getting, I think basically expanding their elective choices with community partnerships. Of course, you're going to up engagement. You get to go out, you get to be in professional environments. You're going to up engagement. But my question is, what about the rest of the schooling experience now? So only that tiny bit, they get that. What about everything else? But that's, we could talk about that much more.
I
You're
wonder.
trying to paint a picture. It's marketing. Like you said, it's messaging. That's all it is.
I wonder if the Minister of Education would come on and engage this very topic. Anyway, a question: when you have concerns about anything happening in Bermuda, what do you do? Mark Arthur C. Phillips says, to be honest, I do not do anything with my concerns. This is wrong, and I need to change. Oh, well, what they say, admission is a good thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, awareness is the first step towards change.
Right. And I don't think it's something to beat ourselves up over, because sometimes we just don't know. Sometimes we just don't know what to do, which I think, and I could be wrong, which I think, Maya has done a great job of trying to tell people over the last few years how to go about reaching out, how to do things, right? Sandcat, please, Raj.
Contact an MP who I know will address it and follow up. Ooh, I have been contacted about the situation before by the person whose remit it falls under. There have been results. Bark loudly. And that's what it is. You have to bark consistently and loudly. What is it? The squeaky wheel gets the most oil?
Yeah.
Yep. As annoying as that might be.
Yeah, I think, folks, it's there's something that we all can do. Unfortunately, few of us really do the work. And I think that's what the point that Rajay was making earlier is, it's unfortunate, it's unfair. I always go back to this example. Some many years ago when I was hosting a weekend radio show, and he was the president then, he's the president now of the Bermuda Public Services Union, Amel Thomas, saying, to the audience, he was asking, do those who are not unionized, should they still benefit from what the union's fighting for? Valid question. The thing about those who are fighting for others is they're not doing it just for themselves. But it really does bother me when I see people who benefit greatly from the efforts of others enjoying the fruits of their labor without breaking a sweat. It does bother me.
Yeah, advocacy is a effective advocacy. There's something very thankless about it.
Yeah.
And that's something I've actually, and I'm sure you've grappled with it yourself.
Mhm.
When in this conscription is I'm here, people are going to benefit from what I am doing, which is great because that's the point. But I am human. I am putting my neck on the line. I am asking for support. I'm not getting it. I'm the one staying up till 1 a.m. writing press releases and doing different things.
Mhm.
And so I mean, that's not, and I don't think that that's necessarily an unfair response.
Yeah. Polly Rich says she doesn't really do anything, talks to a friend or two. And Ebony Souza says, does anyone know if parish councils are still active in their neighborhoods? They were a great bridge for common citizens and politicians. Yeah, they are, right?
Yeah, they're very much active. But no, sorry, they very much still exist. They meet regularly and everything.
Yes.
I do think that the parish councils can be leveraged a hell of a lot more. They could do more.
Let's hope that happens. All right, let's get to Maya Palacio Daily Hour News Break. Then we have Lisa Reed coming up. We've got the Human Rights Commission. We're talking about Human Rights Day. So, Raj, You can't keep Lisa for 2-3 hours. All right,
I, then why? You know, I'm not the one to have on today.
Raj. Okay, all right. All right. Lisa has other things to do. All right, so let's bring Maya in.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hi, Maya.
MP, how are you?
I'm good this morning.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Thank you for doing that poll. I know you spoke about it last week, but the more I reflect on it, the more concerned I am for Bermuda and Bermudians, because I tell you no lie. And the One Bermuda Alliance were government, a sitting MP in St. George's, said, "Oh, these people will get over it. They'd be mad for a few, but they'll be okay." I mean, that was kind of true.
I
People
think it's very true.
angry at Dr. Brown for years for saying in a private meeting, "This too shall pass." But he was right. It's concerning, and my hope is that people get to a place where they understand their power, encouraging any kind of act.
I can't say on my end, I'm still working on that graph that I promised to have out with all the, ministers in each constituency, so all the MPs in each constituency and their contact information. Halfway through it, I'm also trying to also get the police parish constables numbers on there as well. So just a good document to have for if you ever have issues, you know exactly who to reach out to in your constituency. So I will have that before the end of the week is done. I'm trying to also get the numbers of the MP constituents. So that's been the biggest challenge. But yes, just trying to get that all together for you guys. So there's something to have. And you talked about the parish. I think there was a comment about parish parish councils. I can say from my experience, I was in Crow, very active. And there was always meetings with my parish council, and I was always up to date. And they normally have Facebook groups, which are pretty. Yeah, so I'm looking. The Pembroke Parish Council is hosting a town hall meeting tonight at St. John's Church Hall at 7 p.m. Yep, I know definitely when I was staying in Crow, there was a lot. Smiths, I never heard of anything, attend anything, but I know there is a neighborhood watch Facebook group. So just check. But Facebook seems to be the place where it's at. So if you don't know if you have one or not, I would say check Facebook first, because that seems to be where all the groups are. People who want it for the parishes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's good information. And before you start your news break, I just want to do something, because a lot of people like tuning into Maya's news break. Just want to share the link one more time, folks. If you haven't already, please fill out our survey. It's right there in the 10 minutes, just 10 minutes of your time. Fill out the link while you're watching the show. Again, if you want to be eligible for the grand prize next month, you can put your email address. Otherwise, it can be anonymous. But that information helps us make decisions for you. All right. Thank you, Maya.
No problem. And I don't know why Jamal says 10 minutes. It literally took me 2 minutes to do it or less. But it's really quick, guys.
Promise.
Well, good morning. Good morning. This is the Daily On News brought to you by People's Pharmacy. I want everyone, if you are able to, look at your screen right now, because it has been 6 days. It has been 6 days since the Bermuda Police Service has been asking, or has anyone seen, a Johnny Lima Bascom. He was last seen at 11:30 p.m. on Thursday, November the 9th in the Slippery Hill, St. George area. If you're able to screenshot this, screenshot it, post it somewhere, get it out to your group chats, because this person is still missing. He's 16 years old. Mr. Bascom was described as being 5 foot 8 inches in height, approximately 125-pound build, light complexion, slim build, with dark hair worn normally out or in plaits. At the time that he was last seen, he was wearing dark pants, a dark jacket, white socks, and dark colored Crocs. Anyone with information can call the main police number 295-0011, or you could also call 211.
Mm-hmm. Somebody's son, folks.
You know what's wild? A lot of the young people who have gone missing, they're my old students.
Really?
Yeah, a bunch of them. And I used to work at the boys' home on Palmetto Road. I used to work at RTS.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very, when these disappearances happen, it's the dynamics around them, it's, I don't know. The bottom line is that we just need to do better with our young people. That's the bottom line.
Indeed. They're children. Their minds are not fully developed.
On our next upcoming news, the roundtable discussion on Bermuda's economic development strategy will be happening on Monday, the 20th of November. Now, this is a live stream event, so you can tune into it at 6 p.m. on air, live on Facebook, YouTube, and CITV. It's a government live stream, and they'll be talking about the 5 strategies, prioritizing areas from the bedrock of Bermuda's economic development efforts. They say those are the 5 strategies right there. This screenshot actually comes from the economic development plan itself. You could find it very easily by just searching in your web browser, Bermuda Economic Development Strategy 2023-2027. It's right there at the top of that page that you can see. The roundtable panelists will include David Hart, the CEO of Bermuda Business Development Agency, Malika Cartwright, the Director of Department of Workforce and Development, and Jashay Adams, who is chairman of the Bermuda Economic Development Corporation. They say that people are encouraged to just send their questions in advance for this live, because it will be moderated by entrepreneur and podcaster Shivani Seth, who's also a business podcaster for the World Gazette. But if you do have any questions that you want to throw in there before the live that they can address while they're doing the live, you have to submit it to them by email at askus@gov.pm. So askus@gov.pm.
Okay, cool.
Now, the minister, Owen Dow, did have his throne speech debriefing recently, and he talked about his ministerial position and under, the new role of being tourism, but he also addressed his intent with water. You would have heard me reporting about the whole water situation in Bermuda, about how we were non-compliant. We're still waiting to be compliant. We haven't got there yet. So here's just a quick message that he actually said in that statement.
In the coming year, I am looking forward to executing plans to continue investing in our rich sporting heritage and our talented local athletes. During this parliamentary session, the Ministry of Tourism, Culture, and Sport will look to pass the necessary legislative amendments to the Bermuda Anti-Doping Framework, so we can not only fly our flag proudly at international events, but also ensure a clean and safe environment for our athletes.
One thing off topic, I'm going to donate a teleprompter to the government so that they can come up to standard with the rest of the world and look ahead at the people they're speaking to rather than down. So that's problem number 1. Number 2, no disrespect to the minister, but it's such a retroactive statement. I'm looking for some proactiveness, if that makes sense. And I'm happy that, he's saying we're going to be able to fly our flag, but the World Anti-Doping Agency made it seem like, well, Bermuda knew this had to be done and we didn't comply. Like, my hope is that this is the final time we'd have to worry about something like this.
Yeah, indeed. Definitely. Well, also reporter Jonathan Bow did ask some questions about, because Owen Dow now is taking on tourism, what does he expect? What is his expectations? Things like that. So let's just listen into the responses that the minister gave.
I wanted to start on the Tourism Investment Act. There was some word in the throne speech about streamlining it. I guess my first question was, were we not seeing much sort of uptake under the previous legislation?
Well, I would not say that. I would just say in anything that you do, there's always opportunity to look back and say, how can we do things maybe a little better, maybe a little more efficient? And that's somewhere in the Investment Act, the Tourism Investment Act, that we will look at to make it more user-friendly, so that properties and restaurants and everyone else could get the services that they desire maybe a little faster.
Can you tell us anything about how it will be streamlined?
Well, I've been in the seat for about 3 days now. So in the coming weeks, you will hear more about how we intend to do that.
Any particular products that you might personally want to see?
Well, I think I should hold that until we speak again.
Any thoughts?
You're sure you want my thought?
What?
Raj, help me out.
Because, yeah, go ahead, Raj.
No, I mean, it was okay. Um, I'm sorry. I guess I haven't been paying close enough attention because he has. I didn't realize he has tourism now. That's
You were
how.
doing Seraphine.
Pardon?
You were doing Seraphine. Trust me, that was a welcome distraction.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, because that I'm still reeling from that. So I mean, I guess his answers to those questions were fair. You only been in these seats for 72 hours. There's only so much you can say.
Here's the thing I'll say is fair point. He's only been there, but does the premier just give people positions and then, like, with no plan or strategy or conversation prior to kind of give any sort of, we have some plans to do certain things, but I'll, come back to you in the coming days. It almost seemed like I'm taking over something. Let me get my feet wet. We don't have time to, we need people on the job ready to go. So that's my comment.
It's giving consolidation. I mean, everyone has said this, it's giving consolidation of power. You know what I mean? It's giving, let me surround myself with people who I know will sort of enable me. I'm going to say that. I'm going to use that word. And let me keep that circle tight. And it just seems like that was a move to keep the circle tight. That's what it seems like.
Yeah, whatever.
I can say from conversations I've had with some people who have been like switched on in ministries that like it's something that they kind of find out the day before or the day of when they have to like sign it the next day. It's not even something that they know off the bat. Like literally happens so quickly. Like someone's out and you're in, and you could accept it. Like the laws say that everyone serves at the pleasure of the premier. So the premier has the pleasure to bring people in and kick people out, and that's just how it is.
But I will say,
move on, guys. We have to move on.
It doesn't have to be that quick. That we could talk about that another day, and that's this administration.
Move on, guys.
All right. So closing up the news break, that the minister also mentioned, the creative spaces as well. Didn't mention what buildings were in process of them like taking over for it, but that there are some buildings that they have been looking at, and that the Daily Mail Clinic. Just want a quick reminder that today they will be operational for free screening. Today at the Pharmacy Parliament, so 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. So if you know any man that needs to get it done, encourage them to go out there, and there will be a documentary this evening as well. So that's what we have. And in our sports-related news, very quickly, just a big congrats to Erica Howley because she did an amazing race at the Vina Del Mar. She even said in her Instagram messaging that she was actually quite surprised. This is her look of surprise because she thought she came in 10th, but there were some 4 other people that actually got disqualified for different reasons. So she got 6th place, and that was a really, really huge achievement for her. And she said on a personal level, I'm super happy with how I executed the race and the progress I've made. I'm feeling more confident in myself and believe that I belong in the top 10 of a World Cup. And it isn't just a fluke. This year has been the most demanding yet, but also the most rewarding and exciting.
Good stuff. What you got in the weather for us?
And weather looking like a mix of sun and clouds, chance of an early shower or 2. And we're hitting the 60s today, people. We got a high of 69.
It's my weather. I love this weather.
What you got for days of the year, Raj?
Today, I have 2. Today is recycling day. Reminder to recycle. What do? We do tin, aluminum, and glass in Bermuda. Tag your life. Other one is Education Support Professionals Day. So shout out to all of our paras, all of our administrators, all of our bus drivers. Education would not work without you. So happy Educational Support Professionals Day.
For sure. Folks, give some love to them. They play an extremely important role in the sector. Maya, thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
All right, folks, don't go anywhere. We've got Lisa Reed coming up. It's Human Rights Today. Always good conversations. Stick with us.
People's ACW, located at King Edward VII Memorial Hospital, carries over-the-counter medicines, toys, cards, and even toiletries. Our knowledgeable staff are there whether you're at emergency, visiting family, or a member of BHB staff, to show you our best even when you're feeling your worst. People's ACW, we're here for you.
When it comes to footwear, we carry functional, comfortable, orthopedic and waterproof shoes. We have construction shoes, golf shoes, shoes for walking, shoes for boating. We even have shoes for pickleball. We have shoes for everyone. With brands by Skechers, A-Trax, Propay, Easy Street, Nursemates, Clogs, Avenger, Cherokee, Cat, Frog Talk and DeWalt. The list goes on.
See it all at our new expanded location on Bakery Lane.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
Welcome back to the big show. Roger Denbrook. I'm Jamel Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, Lindo's, and the People's Pharmacy. Please do not forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Without further ado, let's bring our guest for the day. She's a frequent guest. Let's give her a warm TDH welcome. It's Lisa Reed from the Human Rights Commission, Bermuda. Calm down, Raj. Calm down.
Good morning. Good morning.
Morning. You can see.
Good morning, Jamel and Raj.
Yeah, you seem extra excited, right? Gee.
Well, I am happy to be here to talk to your audience again as part of the Commission's public awareness campaign. As you'll recall, the last time I was here, I shared highlights about the Commission's 2022 annual report. Today, I wanted to share about Human Rights Day and why it's important to all of us.
And I love it. I love it. I love it. And I appreciate that there's something to prepare for it. But just before we can get into today's conversation, just remind us of the role of the Human Rights Commission in Bermuda.
So the Human Rights Commission is Bermuda's national human rights institution, which means that at the national level, the Commission has a legal mandate to protect and promote human rights, along with monitoring and reporting on the government's commitments to its human rights obligations. The Commission is an independent, non-ministry office, and our mission is to protect and promote human rights through education, collaboration, advocacy, and enforcement. And the Commission has a statutory responsibility for administering the Human Rights Act 1981, which was enacted to provide human rights legislation in Bermuda. Also, its purpose is the purpose of the legislation was to extend the constitutional rights and freedoms enshrined within the Bermuda Constitution Order in 1968, and further was intended to broaden the protections, such as freedom from discrimination and harassment.
I think it's so important that people understand that the Human Rights Commission has a legal obligation, right? They're not just this fluffy, feel-good group of no, we have legal instruments in place that have to do with people's fundamental rights. And I'm actually going to, before I ask my next question, I want to read a quick, because I was going to ask if the Human Rights Commission's remit covered the Constitution as well. And yet you actually just answered that question. So I'm going to read the list of fundamental rights that's enshrined in our Constitution, because most Bermudians don't know this, right? So protection of right to life, protection from inhuman treatment, protection from slavery and forced labor, protection from arbitrary arrest or detention, provisions to secure protection of law, protection for privacy of home and other property, protection of freedom of conscience, protection of freedom of expression, protection of freedom of assembly and association, protection of freedom of movement, which is very interesting during COVID, protection from discrimination on the grounds of race, etc., protection from deprivation of property, provisions for time of war or emergency, enforcement of fundamental rights. But those last two weren't exactly relevant. But people should understand that just in our Constitution, that there are those protections, and we have you're Quango, right?
We are a non-ministry office.
Right. You're a non-ministry office that's literally legally obligated to quote unquote police these things, right? So my next question. So what are human rights? What are human rights, and how would people know if their rights have been adversely affected?
So let me just make one clarifying point, and that is, if someone had a constitutional had a constitutional claim, they would have to bring that claim to the court. However, if someone, and so just going back to the Constitution provides certain protections, just like you listed. There are certain human rights protections, but there are also gaps within the Constitution. And that's why the Human Rights Act was enacted, to expand the protections that are afforded already in the Constitution and to bring more protections to residents in Bermuda. And so human rights, what are human rights basically? Human rights are the rights and freedoms that belong to every person simply because they are a human being. They're not granted to any state. And these universal rights are inherent to us all, regardless of nationality, sex, national or ethnic origin, color, religion, language, or any other status. And human rights range from the most fundamental, such as the right to life, which is embedded within our Constitution, to those that make life worth living, such as the rights to food, housing, education, work, health, and liberty. And there are two key principles of human rights. The first is universality, and the second is indivisibility. So the first principle of universality is the cornerstone of international human rights law. And this means that we are equally entitled to our human rights. This principle, as first emphasized in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, is repeated in many human rights conventions, international declarations, and resolutions. Also, human rights are inalienable. That means basically that they should not be taken away except in specific situations and according to due process. For example, the right to liberty may be restricted if a person is found guilty of a crime by a court of law. So what these laws tell us is how governments must treat people and how organizations and people must treat each other. And in Bermuda, our Human Rights Act prohibits discrimination based on grounds such as one's race, disability, sex or sexual orientation, religion or family status, in situations where a person may be employed or seeking employment, may be renting or looking to rent, or seeking to obtain goods or services.
One thing I found fascinating right before I ask the next question is, obviously, the LGBTQ rights have been a part of our discourse for the last few years. And it's been very interesting to hear people say things like, I would not rent to somebody who is a member of the LGBTQ community. I would not give them a job. You're using homophobic slurs. And I'm in these conversations going, do you guys know that that's actually illegal?
Absolutely, it is illegal.
Right.
And so it's illegal to not rent to someone because they are Black, or a single mother who has 3 children, or someone who is gay. These rights are already afforded. And so even though there is this ongoing discourse, it's actually against the law. So the discourse is incredibly unfortunate. However, what people need to realize is that it is the law, that you are not able to discriminate against someone based on protected grounds set out within the Act.
Yep. And I think it's really important for people to understand that. So when is Human Rights Day and when is it observed?
So Human Rights Day falls annually every year on December 10th. And this year, there is a significant milestone, as we will also celebrate the 75th anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So the preamble of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights acknowledges the imperative of promoting and protecting fundamental human rights for all, irrespective of their background, and strives to advance the principles of equality and non-discrimination. So with a collective aspiration for a better world, the preamble pledges dedication to these principles for the well-being and harmonious coexistence of all people throughout the world. And just in terms of reasons to observe Human Rights Day, why should we observe it? So first of all, we should recognize and celebrate December 10th, as the anniversary of the adoption of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in 1948. And this day is an opportunity to remember the significance and the history that led to the development of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Another reason is because Human Rights Day encourages people to engage in human rights activism, advocating for the rights of marginalized and vulnerable populations. The day also serves as a reminder and highlights the ongoing human rights challenges around the world and in our communities, and emphasizes the need for continued efforts to address them. And it is also a day that calls for action. So it's a call to action to protect and uphold human rights, urging governments, organizations, and individuals to take concrete steps in this regard.
You know, and I find it one thing that I find very interesting about the Bermuda context is that we don't speak about human rights a whole lot, you know, generally speaking. But yeah, I hear that too, Jamal. I apologize. We we don't talk about it a lot, but human rights are extremely relevant to us. And I want to use the example of the pandemic and freedom of movement, because that's, you know, that's enshrined in our Constitution. Freedom of movement is right there, right? And no person is meant to have their freedom of movement restricted, because obviously that's not okay, right? But during the pandemic, what happened? We were in lockdown. So I was literally telling people, it's like, hey, look, if you look at the Constitution, it's literally illegal to do this. But the only reason why they could is because emergency powers were put in place, right? So, and then I was just getting people to think about under what circumstances, you know, the government does have the power to undermine your fundamental rights as enshrined in our Constitution, right? Under certain circumstances. And people really need to pay attention, because that's a slippery slope. So, and just getting them to understand, like, human rights, these things that, you know, seem nebulous and off in the cloud somewhere, have everything to do with you. And, you know, there are, if I have this right, there are 30 articles in the Universal Declaration. And I'm just going to read it. Article 4, everyone has the right to life, liberty, and security of person. Article 4 says, no one shall be held in slavery or servitude. Slavery and the slave trade shall be prohibited in all their forms, which is directly and immediately relevant to conscription, I would say. That would be a part of that argument. So human rights have everything to do with Bermudians. You know, we need to stop thinking that they don't. But how will the Human Rights Commission honor this year's Human Rights Day?
So this year in Bermuda, we are recognizing the day in two ways. Firstly, by highlighting the 30 articles of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Each article, as you've just shared, is important. And rather than singling out a few, we will be highlighting one article for 30 days. Secondly, we plan to host an expanded lunch and learn about human rights in Bermuda and the world. So we started the first post on our Facebook page on November 8th, and we will end with the last article being displayed on December 8th. And so I appreciate that you shared some of the articles, Rajay. And we also have highlighted the articles on humanrights.bm, which is our independent website. And as it relates to Human Rights Day, because Human Rights Day falls on December 10th, which is a Sunday this year, on December 11th, we are encouraging affinity organizations and individuals to join us for an expanded education session starting at noon that day. And so we ask that the community contact us at 295-5859 or email us at humanrights@gov.bm and register to attend the expanded lunch and learn session.
All right. Audience, if you have any questions or comments, please send your questions through. If someone wanted, Suzanne Ingram's asking, where can I get a copy of our Constitution? But even more, like, where can people go for more information, not just about Human Rights Day, but if they just want to know more about the articles that exist and the like, where can they go?
Humanrights.bm. Go to our website. So on our website, we have our annual report. Actually, we have all of our archived annual reports, but the most recent as well is the 2022 annual report, which talks about the activity that we did over that year. There's a link to the Constitution. There is a link to our legislation, the Human Rights Act. There is also judgments. So as you know, we talked about it before, there is an independent human rights tribunal that adjudicates cases, human rights complaints. And so all of the judgments are available on our website. And the articles are also on our website. So there is, the website is chock full of information about human rights and its local application and how it also relates to human rights broadly throughout the world.
All righty. Rosalind Famous has a question. She's just asking for an explanation. What are affinity organizations?
Affinity groups are organizations that they basically represent specific issue areas. So for instance, age concern represents issues related to age. CURB's mandate is around race and social justice. And then there's also Social Justice Bermuda that has a mandate related to social justice. So these are affinity groups. However, the public broadly is invited. So if you're a member of an affinity group, certainly register, but as well, just anyone in the public, we're looking forward to celebrating Human Rights Day and honoring this important day.
All righty. Just remind people of the website and places they can go to register for the Lunch and Learn and Mobile Human Rights Day.
So call us 295-5859. Email us at humanrights@gov.bm. Visit our website. Visit our Facebook page at Bermuda Human Rights Commission. Bermuda Human Rights Commission is our Facebook page, or visit us. So we are located in Milner Place, which is 32 Victoria Street, directly across from Sears.
All righty. Lisa, once again, thank you so much. And I really hope our audience gets involved, gets out there. Human rights is all of our rights. I think, as Rajay said, I'm a big fan of making sure that information is available year-round, but promote it, market it, and push year-round. And that's going to take the community effort to help support the efforts of your organization to make sure that we do that. So please utilize us. Let us know what we can do more and further when you're not on. But thanks again for having this conversation, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you very much. See you next time.
Lisa Reed, folks, if you appreciated today's conversation, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Please share these conversations with your friends, family, colleagues. I say that because there's a lot of information. Again, it goes back to what we were speaking about earlier. We love to respond, sometimes complain. We say a lot of things, but I honestly, truly believe that we only know what we know. And so at times there's no progress being made because we only know what we know. The information's accessible. There's no excuse to know if you're a landlord or you're an employer and you're violating or discriminating against someone, or if you're the renter or employee and you're being discriminated against. There are these protective measures in there. We're going to take a final break, come back. We've got the Daily Play. Any Motown heads in his house? Well, this one is for you. Stick with us.
Ordering from ER Fisheries has just gotten simpler. With just a few clicks of a button, you can place an order for next-day delivery or same-day pickup. Our ever-expanding list of offerings now include grocery pantry items, specialty meats, and bread and dairy items. We know things have been hard, and we're here to make planning for your next meal or party easy. Whether you're a vegetarian or a meat eater, we have what you're looking for. And best of all, it can be delivered to your door in 24 hours or less. Go to www.erfisheries.bm and check out our wide range of seafood, beef, lamb, pork, poultry, fruits, vegetables, and plant-based products, all available at reasonable prices. That's www.erfisheries.bm.
Thanks again to Lisa Reed. If you appreciated today's conversation, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Thanks again to the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring we can have these conversations with you on a daily basis. It's time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. Raj, are you ready?
More or less.
All right, folks. Help Raj out. Raj, who was the lead singer of The Miracles?
Ooh, I should know that. I should know that.
Someone told you. Mark Arthur C. Phillips, Smokey Robinson, Shanta said Smokey.
Why didn't you WhatsApp it to me, Gooden?
Hustling famous Smokey. Smokey, man. Smokey Robinson, Raj.
Should have known that.
Motown, Raj.
Myself. No, minus 2 points. That's fair. That's fair.
That's right. Nana Pam, Smokey, man.
Okay.
Smokey.
I know.
Smokey.
My bad. My bad. I'm sorry.
Well, you know what?
Do I keep my black card? Do I keep it?
You know what? We'll let you keep it. We're gonna say it wasn't a race thing. It was an age thing. We're gonna discriminate on age, not race.
All right, cool.
Smokey Robinson. We're glad we have some Motown heads in the audience. Raj, final thoughts on this morning's discussion, and obviously the conversation with our good friend Lisa Reed.
We are a people who are disconnected from our power. It's as simple as that. And we need to remember who we are and start to move as if we can define the experience of this country socially, economically, and politically. I am tired of passivity. And I'm saying that as a person, and I know I'm preaching to the choir, and you're somebody who's done this, who's put your neck on the line, who has advocated, who has conducted themselves with the energy of self-determination, right? We are not here to be acted on, which is ridiculous. We are here to define. We are the citizens of this country. We are the electorate. We are here to be served, and we need to move like that is the case. We cannot give into disillusionment. We cannot give into apathy. We cannot. I don't care what's going on in the world. We cannot do it. There is a country that we need to recover and to save, and we need to get on with it. We need to get on with it. In terms of human rights, we need to remember that Bermuda is we have two very hefty legal instruments that define the experience of human rights here, our Constitution and our Human Rights Act. We need to stop giving into these dynamics of ideological dominance, where since everybody thinks one thing, it somehow makes it okay. That's not the case. And again, I'll use LGBTQ covered discourse, right? I've heard horrible things like, I kill an LGBTQ person. Murder is illegal. Jamel, the wild things I've heard, man. I've said it, I won't rent. I won't give them a job. I won't let them in my store. And you have to tell people that's literally illegal. You can't do that, right? And sexual orientation is only one protected area. You have race, you have gender, you have marital status, right? I'm pretty sure that's in there as well. These are all protected categories. So, and the same, you wouldn't have a person saying, I'm not going to allow a Black person to work here, right? We need to really expand our minds and our understanding around these things.
Crazy. Yeah. Well, let me say this much. I agree with you, Raj. I think not only are we disconnected from our power, some people just don't know. We don't know. We don't understand our power, right? And I think we have to do something. There's something that can always be done. I just cannot sit here right now and tell you what it is that we can do that's going to change our fortunes overnight. But we have to have conversations like this to get closer to solutions when it comes to having issues and remaining silent. We can't continue to live like this. As far as the Human Rights Commission, I have very strong views about many rights, but like issues with our politicians or Bermuda, Many people, even if they knew their rights, will remain silent, and they do remain silent out of fear of losing that thing that helps them live, which is sometimes a job or a paycheck. These conversations actually collide. These topics of discussion actually collide. I'm concerned that human rights are not respected. You made a great example about COVID. Government can do things with conscription. When you listed those different things, freedom of expression, freedom of movement, right? All of that was taken away when conscripted. Laws can be made in special circumstances to override human rights. Let's not be forgotten. But if people understood their power, it would be much harder for a government or anyone to do that. Raj, do you have any daily inspiration for us?
I do, from the inimitable ascended ancestor Nelson Mandela. To deny people their human rights is to challenge their very humanity.
Easy, easy, easy. Folks, please don't forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy, for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. He's Roger Denbrook. I'm Jamal Hartman. Please do make it a safe and a great day. VR is out. Peace.